Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name's Matthew. I'd like to share an update with you, my O gauge stock for my new layout. So let's get into it. So we'll start with the latest acquisition, which is this pannier tank 7714, as preserved condition I believe, and obviously operating on the Severn Valley Railway. Bought this because I've ridden behind it and I do love a pannier tank. Haven't even got it out yet, but let's turn it around. It's a lovely loco. The detail in it is fantastic. You've got the cab detail there, underframe frame, vac pipes, even down to the tank caps. Particularly if I can get it to zoom. There we are. Even the maker's plates and the crest. It's a lovely loco. So I don't have many tank engines. In fact, I've only got one other, and that's a Hudswell Clark loco 060. So when I saw this at the South Devon Railway, I had to buy it. This was the one that stood out to me. I was looking for a green GWR with gold lettering, but when I saw this and having seen it for real, just had to get it. So hopefully at some point I'll be able to get it out and get it for a run. I will give you an update on what the plan is for the layout, because in my previous video I mentioned that we would turn that back around. We would be looking at building a layout based on a heritage line. Well, things have changed, and I'll explain that a bit further on. So that's the first loco. I'll show you my next acquisition. So my next acquisition was this. This is 34002 Salisbury. Now I think I made a short about this because I got it about Christmas time, but it wasn't in the main video. Now this one I took to a friend's layout and it was running, and it started to smell and smoke, but from the underframe, not through the funnel. And yeah, as it was running, we started to realise that it had some work hardened wires that weren't well. So currently I've disconnected the motor. The tender's also disconnected. So it's a drag loco. It's featured a couple of times at my friend's layouts as sort of a secondary to make a double header as a drag. But yeah. So whilst the motor's out, I've taken the opportunity to clean all the wheels, clean the tender wheels. I'm going to get some new wiring, refit the motor mount so it's fixed, because there's a little issue with that. And from there on, we are going to fit it with DCC and sound. And I'm contemplating, because it's one of those rare models where there's no solid metal in the funnel, fitting some sort of smoke generator. But I've never done that before, so I'm sure I'll do some research. So I'll just turn it around the other way when the tender doesn't catch. Does also need some slight work on this rear pony truck to stop it doing this derailing drag, but that's not a problem, we'll fix that. Other side of the tender there as well, and the back. Cab detailing is there. I'm yet to put a fireman and a driver in it. And the roof, but I can't wait to get this one back being motorised and as a runner. So this will be my next little project to get running. I may even film it, but I don't know yet. Next up is not a acquisition, but a repair. So the 4F I've been having a while. Now I was contemplating the idea of turning this into a Q class by changing the body there. However, I've decided in the end to keep it as a 4F. I saw the 4F at Keeley recently, and I do have a fondness for these 060 engines. So instead, I cleaned the motor up, I cleaned the wheels, and I now as you can see, have a working loco. Just put it back in the middle. So the only bit left to do now is to fix the tender drawbar, because that also broke when I got it. That's the danger sometimes you run of buying second-hand models. So I've got to fit it to the back here, but it shouldn't be too much of an issue. I've already got the ring on the tender, so it's not too much of an issue. I will get around to that. That's quite a quick fix, I think. Shouldn't take too long. And then I need to number it. But either way, I'm quite pleased that I now have a working loco. That needs probably a little more grease on that gearing there. So finally, I've restored my Duke Dog to running service. It's nowhere near perfect. We're still looking at it. Definitely doesn't work slow, but it is running, as you can see. So a little bit of investigation work to do with that a bit more. Still get a little bit of sparking, but I think I can figure it out. So that's not too much of the a job, but we will fix it just to make sure. But other than that, it runs wonderful, and I do like this one. So it's one of the few I don't have in BR livery. So original Great Western with the inside frame. And yeah, heading out to the layout as soon as I can. Next up, I've got a series of private owner wagons and a towed brake van. So I got these two at the Doncaster show. Foster Yeoman, as most of you know from who follow me on Instagram, Somerset is a place close to my heart, and I very much like to go and do my train chasing in Somerset where possible. I like to go. I like the stations. I like the freedom there. I like Taunton. I like Castle Carey. Bridgewater I can take or leave as a spot. I also bought it because Foster Yeoman is something I regularly saw when I was a child. Though it was class 59s and much bigger hoppers, seeing that wagon in that livery in the era kind of where my layout set, it was a no-brainer to buy it. I think I bought both of them for the grand total of about £30 together. And now they both have loads. This has a fixed stone load, obviously. Yeoman's still known for aggregates. The Hickleton one has a coal load. Now that only is a bit of card with some coal mounted on the top. And just put it in, makes it look good. Bought this one on eBay just because I like the livery. Suncoal Smokeless Nottingham Fuel. Still empty. I will do something with it. Next up is a box van. Now this isn't very true or very real, but it's just some card with a livery stuck on it. Now I particularly like this one because of the bull, really. It was that face, and yeah, it's not brilliant, but with the plan for my layout, you'll only ever see this at a distance, so I'm not worried. So Coleman's Mustard Traffic is perfect. And then I got this off eBay for about £12. It's a towed van. Now this needs some work. It needs the GW taken off. It has had some work. It's a Lima wagon. But what they've done hasn't really helped it. So I'm thinking of painting it sort of a darker grey, putting the white roof on, new GW, transfers. And then I haven't quite decided which shed it will be at yet, whether it's going to be sort of Taunton or Slough. I've seen a couple, but I'm not sure, so I need some people in it. It's not a bad wagon, everything's good with it and everything runs, but I think it just needs a better paint job, and those plastic handrails that are inside the body, they need painting out in white. It just needs sort of redetailing. And finally, I've acquired 5 Mark 1 coaches. 2 standard composite crimson and cream, and 3 LMS maroon, 2 that are half first, half standard, and a brake first. Is it a first or a standard? I'm not sure. Anyway, a brake coach, Mark 1. So these are Limas, and they originally come with this coupling, but these couplings are terrible. If I put it together, look at the distance, look at that. You can see a whole window in between. So I have been slowly modifying them. So I've done one coach, and that's the brake coach. That I fitted with 3-link couplings. Let me just get my screwdriver in here. The 3-link couplings with the hook, which I think look brilliant. Everything else on my layout is going to have 3-link couplings, so the coach is the same. And it was quite an easy modification, and just sort of cut the couplings off the bogie here, coupling hook with a split pin which sits underneath the work, and then you hold it, and I did the same on the other end. And this means you can put your train ever so close together. Let me show you that. I've just cut to and connected it to the Duke Dog. You'll see that the coupling is much better. There's no window visibility in the middle there. Barely a coach door, and even if I pull on it, push it apart, it only really comes that far. So I much prefer them. So the other coaches will be going through the same treatment. Now, when I bought the crimson and cream coaches, they also had their own separate couplings, sort of modified. And that's partly because they put these corridors in, which actually look quite good when they're together. But I am going to have to change it again for the 3-link couplings, and the coaches will have to go that way to ensure that they connect properly. But you know, in terms of there's a buffer I need to get for that one. That's not a problem. In terms of the coaches, they're not bad. They do the job. These ones have had people put inside them. So you see some there, some people there, perhaps enjoying a day out by steam. So yeah, that's a rundown of what I've acquired so far, what I'm doing. So the next real project over the summer, I think, will probably be the couplings on the coaches and starting to acquire some track. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed that little rundown of my fleet. Obviously, I have a Hudsville Clark and Flying Scotsman as well. I left them out because they're perfect runners. They're basically new models. So I've left them out of this one. Still got a way to go. Salisbury's going to take a little while, and I need to figure out what's causing the sparks on the Duke Dog. I probably, when I rewire the West Country, will rewire the Duke Dog. I think that's probably the safest way forward, as well as a long wheel clean and yeah, keep it running. So probably that's it for stock. There's a few things I'm bidding on eBay and eyed up in shops, but nothing's fixed yet. If I get them, I'll give you an update. But going forward, the future really lies in acquiring track and infrastructure. And as I previously mentioned, I was going to build it indoors, perhaps in my loft, and theme it on a heritage railway. But that plan kind of ground to a halt at the moment. Instead, I've decided to build an O-gauge garden railway. Having followed Hornby magazine with their garden railway special and seeing all the garden railways on tour for there, I quite enjoyed the New Junction series about building a garden railway, and also Dan's model railways and his garden railway and the problems he had with it. Even though that's sort of double O gauge, you can always learn something from it, can't you? So Dan, thank you very much. And also, I watched the series from some years ago about garden railways by Mark Found, and that lit the spark. Once I'd seen that, that was it. We decided O-Gauge would be the way forward. So from going from sort of a loft circuit to an outdoor circuit, doubled the track size. We haven't really got any plans for it yet, because at some point we're going to move, and that's when we're going to build. So for now, the locos go out basically when I go out visiting friends and events through the Railway Society and so on. Yeah, so it's going to be a garden railway. Not quite sure what we're going to do yet. We're considering the idea of 2 loops, so that when the return comes around, you'll have a straight section with 4 tracks, which is very similar to what I grew up with. And that's one option. The other option is to go down the route of a single loop that can be like a double track, and DCC it so that we can have a number of trains running all on one loop. But I'm not sure. Everything's out. All I know is that going forward, though that little amount of stock I've got is there, I think that they're all going to get DCC fitted, and we'll probably start acquiring track, which is the main thing. If I start buying it now before we move, then I've got a spare stock and I can start almost straight away. So I do hope you've enjoyed that, and if you have any questions, please let me know. Other than that, thank you very much for watching. Bye.